That's because young people in Illinois who participate in education-based athletics are already winners. Studies show that win or lose, participation helps to impart skills they can use to enjoy greater success in other areas of their lives. School sports teach the benefits of teamwork, the value of self-motivation, and the importance of accountability. They also help to foster stronger work habits and higher levels of self-esteem. In other words, the true value of school sports can't be measured in terms of wins or losses. If an individual or team goes to state, it's an incredible accomplishment. But regardless of the outcome, today's student athletes are already destined to go far. School sports, a winning part of a complete education. This message presented by the Illinois High School Association and the Illinois Athletic Directors Association.
This is Snowman in the Morning, where true sports talk lives.
Hadouken! That's a spicy meatball!
That's a spicy meatball indeed. 13 beyond the hour on this rapid-fire edition of Snowman in the Morning as we kick off our 5th season, and we thank you for joining us. Now, let's dive into some football. And I want to go back to Thursday night at Lambeau Field in Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers versus Mike Glennon? Really? And people actually thought the Bears had a chance in this game? Ha! Not if Aaron Rodgers had anything to say about it. He throws 4 touchdowns and 179 yards, throws 479 yards. And the Packers demolished the Bears again, 35-14. Danny Trevathan laid a hit on Adams and has been suspended for 2 games. This is now an appealing process. All this, Bear fans, should let you know how unequivocally mediocre this franchise has become. Once again, I go back to the NFC Championship in 2010. The Bears had the Packers in their house. Okay? And Aaron Rodgers took the Packers down the field on their first drive in 7 plays and stuck it in the end zone, essentially kicking the Bears in the nuts and punching them in the mouth, and the Bears have not recovered. I saw a stat before this game that in the time that Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers have started at quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, the Bears have started, I believe, 31 different quarterbacks, including Glennon. When will John Fox get it together and give Mitch Trubisky the ball? He should have gotten him the ball in the first place. He should have started, I will maintain this, he should have started the season. Jordan Howard carried 18 times for 53 yards and scored a touchdown. But the game was far out of reach after the Bears turned the ball over on an ensuing possession in the first quarter, and the Packers stuck it in the end zone and led 14-0 after 1. Game, set, match. To say that this Bears offense, and they're not the only one I'm going to get to in terms of a putrid offense, but this offense is putrid. This is god-awful. I'm sitting there laughing at this, but I can't. I'm sitting there laughing at this, but I can't laugh too much as I go to the next team I'm going to look at, which is my beloved 49ers. You talk about a struggle at quarterback. Why did we trust Brian Hoyer? You drafted C.J. Beathard. Put him in. Use him. Now, there are a lot more pieces that the 49ers need to get it together. I realize that. But at the same time, sitting 0-4 is just not – it's not the way the 49ers wanted to start the season. Well, we know that Brian Hoyer at quarterback is a stopgap, especially with all of the negative publicity that was brought upon San Francisco in the past 2 years. And going through 2 different coaches at the same time. Chip Kelly certainly didn't work out. Kyle Shanahan's now 0-4 in his first year with San Francisco. John Lynch is the general manager. But you know what? Unlike the Bears situation, I'm going to have patience with this 49ers situation, not just because they're my team, but because I trust the people that are in charge. That's John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. Niners lost in a marathon in the desert, 18-15. Carson Palmer threw a touchdown pass in the waning moments of overtime. The 49ers led 5 different times in that game, all by field goals, and could not close the deal. I still think that this defense is going to show out for San Francisco, but they got a lot of work to do. I mean that. They have a lot of work to do. Deshaun Watson decided to show completely off yesterday, accounting for 5 touchdowns, throwing 4 of them, and the Texans score the most points that they've scored in their team's history in destroying the Titans 57-14. 57 points. That's crazy. But then Houston did something I have implored the Bears to do and implored the 49ers to do. They gave the rookie the ball, and he's showing out. He is absolutely showing out. Matter of fact, Deshaun Watson, as I said, he accounted for 5 touchdowns yesterday. The Titans had 30 points at halftime and scored 20 in the fourth quarter. Watson was 25 of 34, 283 yards, 4 touchdowns on the afternoon. Marcus Mariota had a horrible day, 6 of 10, 96 yards. Didn't throw a score, but he ran for both of Houston's scores. Is Deshaun Watson now placing himself in the area to be Rookie of the Year? You never know. The way this team's playing right now behind him, the way this offense is running that right now behind him, I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised at all. Now, here's one of the games that really got me. I didn't get a chance to watch any of the games in full yesterday. I've just come back from a trip, and I was dog tired. Pardon me. And as you can tell by my voice took a beating. Carolina 33, New England 30. And that was in Gillette Stadium. Cam Newton, 22 of 29, 316 yards. He threw 3 scores. Tom Brady, 32 of 45, 307 yards, and he threw 2 scores. Jonathan Stewart was the difference in this game for Carolina with all the rushing yards that he got, the big rushing yards that he got during the game. 14 carries, 68 yards. Newton carried 8 times for 44 yards. Kelvin Benjamin caught 4 for 104 yards. Devin Funchess caught 7 for 70 yards and 2 scores. 2 of the 3 scores that Newton threw for. The Panthers led by 10 in this game, only to see the Patriots come back, tie the game. But then Stephen Hauschka drilled his last field goal of the afternoon. He's perfect on the season, and the Panthers win in New England. Now, how about this? In the first 4 games of this season, the Patriots have already lost twice at Gillette Stadium. Both of their wins, meaning New England, the defending champions, have come on the road. I'd be scared right now if I were New England. Now, I know this is only 4 games into the season. But right now, I wouldn't hit the panic button yet, but I'd be pretty damn close. I would be pretty close to hitting that panic button. But then again, it's Tom Brady we're talking about. It's Bill Belichick we're talking about. It's the New England Patriots we're talking about. They'll find a way to right the ship. Now, why is Jay Cutler still playing football? He started for the Miami Dolphins, 20 of 28, 164 yards. Jay Ajayi carried 12 times for 46 yards, and the Miami Dolphins were shut out 20-0 in London. Drew Brees kind of got back to his old self, 29 of 41, 268 yards. Mark Ingram carried 14 times for 45 yards. We got a problem in New Orleans. The problem is you signed a guy who was supposed to be your premier running back in Adrian Peterson, and he is not carrying the load. He's not doing the same thing in New Orleans as he was doing in Minnesota, which leads me to question why New Orleans signed him in the first place. A team that needed a running back should have gotten a hold of him. We'll have to see how this plays out. But New Orleans gets the win, 20-0 over Miami, and I think the Miami Dolphins and I think that Jay Cutler will be exiled from the Dolphins here pretty soon. To U.S. Bank Stadium, and the Detroit Lions, yes, the Detroit Lions beat Minnesota in Minnesota again. 14-7 was that final score. Matt Stafford was 19 of 31 for 209 yards. Amir Abdullah carried 20 times for 94 yards plus a touch. Now, the quarterback situation that I mentioned in Chicago is paltry. In San Francisco is worse. But I think even worse than that is in Minnesota. You lose Sam Bradford to an injury for possibly the season. Case Keenum, 16 of 30, 219 yards. Did not throw a touchdown pass. And was sacked 5 times. Dalvin Cook, 13 carries, 66 yards, and a touch from Minnesota. They're not feeding him the ball enough. I wasn't sold on Dalvin Cook when the Vikings drafted him. Partially because of my hatred for Florida State, but that's another story. No, I'm kidding. But I wasn't sold on Dalvin Cook being an every down back. Now he has to be. The Vikings need to feed him the ball. They're getting the ball to Stephon Diggs. He caught 5 for 98 yards yesterday. But there are some issues in Minnesota. Lots and lots of issues in Minnesota. To let a Lions team that wasn't predicted to do much come in and score another victory in U.S. Bank Stadium? Vikings got to get well quick. Well, they have the Bears next week, so that may change. Now to a situation that hasn't changed in years and won't change anytime soon. Cincinnati defeats the Cleveland Browns 31-7. I would say poor Cleveland, but it's Cleveland. And all the talk that has been going around, myself included, fed into this conversation of Andy Dalton no longer being an elite quarterback. Well, you just got to play the Cleveland Browns 16 times a year and you'll get healthy. 25 of 30, 286 yards. He threw 4 touchdowns. It still doesn't erase all the questions that folks have about Andy Dalton. Now, will this game allow Andy Dalton to get back into elite status? Who knows? But as far as Cleveland goes, as bad of a situation as it is in Chicago and San Francisco, Cleveland's a mess. There was no fight in this team yesterday. Had a chance to see a couple of the highlights. There's no fight in this team. None. I saw no kind of competition. I saw no one willing to compete for the Cleveland Browns. And it's going to remain this way, and it's going to make Hugh Jackson a lame duck coach until Cleveland decides to win a ball game, or 2, or 3, or 4. You figure you can't do any worse than what Cleveland went through last year? Well, that's being proven wrong. Here's another surprise score. Buffalo 23, Atlanta 17 at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. What? At the new home of the defending NFC champions. Tyrod Taylor, 12 of 20, 182 yards plus a touch. Shady McCoy, 20 carries, 76 yards. Matt Ryan was 24 of 42, 242 yards plus a touchdown. After the dominating performance that Atlanta had against the Packers last Sunday night, they, in essence, lay an egg against the Buffalo Bills. But now I'll give the Buffalo Bills credit. They're starting to turn things around. They're starting to have fun again. Could it be that they're circling the wagons again? Never know. Have to see how this season plays out. As for Atlanta, you weren't supposed to beat the Buffalo Bills, especially given their recent history, and you did anyway. The New York Jets needed overtime. They needed a lot of overtime. They defeated the Jacksonville Jaguars 23-20. Damn. Tied 10-10 at the half. Jets go up 10 in the third quarter. Jacksonville roars back in the money period to tie the game. Now, it goes back to this quarterback situation with several teams. Bears, 49ers, Browns, and then you got the Jaguars. With Blake Bortles going 15 of 35, 140 yards, and a touchdown. My buddy Joshua Jackson, who will be on later in the week to spout off about this team, said it best. If Leonard Fournette is not in the game, they have no doggone chance to win. None. 24 carries, 86 yards for Fournette. But Bilal Powell, 21 carries, 163 yards plus a touchdown for the New York Jets. The suddenly offensive-minded New York Jets. I can't explain this one. I don't think Mark Kelly can explain this one. And since we spoke of the Jets before we go to the break, how about their counterparts, the New York Giants? They're still winless. They lost at the gun 25-23 to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa. Eli 30 for 49, 288 yards, 2 touchdowns. Famous Jameis Winston, 22 of 38 for 332 and 3 scores. There is no running game for the New York Giants. Odell Beckham caught 7 for 90, but didn't get in the end zone. There is no running game for the New York Giants. Let me say it again. There is no kind of running game for the New York Giants. The Giants in years past have been identified by their running game. Eli Manning came along and enhanced the Giants' offense. But for many years, the Giants have been identified by a running game, which is severely lacking this season. They can't punch the ball in the end zone on the ground. They can't punch the ball in the end zone on the ground. Giants need a running game. The Giants need a running back. But it all starts up front with the offensive line opening the holes for said running back. And that is paltry. That is paltry, and that's being nice about it. Other scores, Pittsburgh defeats Baltimore 26-9. The Rams defeated Dallas 35-30. Eagles over the Chargers 26-24. Denver over Oakland 16-10. And Seattle throttles Indianapolis which throws all kinds of playoff scenarios for the Colts out the frickin' window. No Andrew Luck, no Colts. Period. I don't think Andrew Luck will see the field this season. Tonight's game, the Washington Redskins travel to Kansas City to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. Oh, boy. And this is the only time I'll make this joke. You talk about a politically correct situation that could happen. But I hope these politicos leave people alone. Chiefs are 3-0, Skins are 2-1. Will the Chiefs remain undefeated, or will the Redskins find a way to win in that pit called Arrowhead Stadium? Lots to find out. Speaking of finding out, the baseball playoffs are set. Can you believe it? This season has absolutely flown by. Flown by. And I've got 5 questions about the Major League Baseball playoffs, and you'll hear them all when we come back in the Deuce.
Hey y'all, Snowman here. And for you, the listeners of Snowman in the Morning, the podcast or the live version, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a 30-day free trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. Now, you know, old Snowman here is on the road a lot with all the games I cover, which total in excess of 150 a year. And one thing I have gotten into in the past year has been audiobooks. And man, this one that I found has been great, and it's my first recommendation. It's called Crush It, Why Now is the Time to Cash In on Your Passion by Gary Vaynerchuk. It comes free with a 30-day trial membership. And to get that and to download your free audiobook, go to audibletrial.com/arenasportsnet. Again, that's audibletrial.com/arenasportsnet for your free audiobook.
You don't need 4 letters to tell you what's going on in the world of sports. No, no, no. You only need 3. ASN, Arena Sports Network, where every team has a fan. This is Snowman in the Morning, where true sports talk lives.
Next!
Excuse me, bitch?
Are you kidding me?
What?
Halfway home here on this rapid-fire edition of Snowman in the Morning. Want to thank you all for joining us. We're presented by Cleaver Supplements, pure supplements for when genetics are just not enough. We're only in an hour right now. There are a few parts I'm going to add to the show to really get it back in good form, in good formation. And, you know, one person said to me, the key is doing it every day. And I've had so many reasons why I don't want to do it, but I had many reasons today why I didn't want to go on. But then I sat down, I thought about it, and I said, you know what, I need to do this. For me, I started the show 5 years ago, and it's got to keep going. Besides, I can't keep talking about wanting to be at the top of the ladder and not doing anything to get there. So that is on me. That is absolutely on me. All right, let's talk some baseball. The Major League Baseball playoffs are set, and here is the schedule up through the division series. The American League wild card game is tomorrow, and it's at Yankee Stadium as the number 5 seed Minnesota Twins. You heard me right. The Minnesota bleeping Twins, who lost 103 games last year, will go to the house that Jeter built and take on the New York Yankees. First pitch 8 p.m. Eastern Time. The National League wild card game is tomorrow, and it features Rockies? Diamondbacks? Yep. They both got in, and it's in Phoenix at Chase Field. That also has an 8 p.m. first pitch. Thursday begins the American League Division Series as the top-seeded Indians will host either the Yankees or the Twins, the winner of that wild card game. First 2 are at Cleveland. Next 2 are on the road, and then the 5th and final game will be at Cleveland on October 11th if necessary. The Astros at number 2 and the number 3 Red Sox, the first 2 are in Houston. Next 2 are in Boston. Last one's at Houston if necessary. Thursday night will begin the National League Division Series as the Dodgers, the top seed, will see either the D-backs or the Rockies. First 2 in L.A., next 2 on the road, last one's in Los Angeles. 2 versus 3, and this is the most interesting series on the docket. Of all the division series I'm going to pay attention to, it's this one. The Washington Nationals, who were the first team to clinch the division, will take on the Chicago Cubs, the defending world champions. First 2 are in the nation's capital, next 2 are in the Windy City, and the last one is in Washington. Now, let's go to our 5 questions of our Major League Baseball playoff preview. Are the Dodgers the team to beat? At this time, yes. They lost 11 in a row, but had such a cushion in the West Division, they were able to right the ship, get it together, clinch the division, and still rest some of their players. I think the Dodgers are the team to beat. Will the Nats finally be free of playoff injury and failure? Free of playoff injury? No. Max Scherzer will not be in the first 2 games of the division series in Washington, and that's going to hurt them bad. Playoff failure? Just going to depend how the first 2 go in Washington. I will say this. If the Nats are able to survive Max Scherzer's injury, and Scherzer's their ace, but they got a backup aces in Steven Strasburg and Gio Gonzalez. So you'll see those 2 go first. If they can get the first 2 in Washington, I think they can take that series. In fact, I'll make my prediction. I'll say Nats in 5. It'll go the distance. You just don't beat the defending world champions that easily. Who do the Cubs leave out of the starting rotation? Jake Arrieta. Injury says everything. Same with Washington. Injury says all. And if your player's not ready to go, then he's not ready to go. Will Wade Davis be the closer the Cubs traded for postseason success? No. They're going to have to find another closer because Davis has not done the job for the Cubs. Now, these are pre-playoff questions, folks. All these questions start getting answered tomorrow night. 5th and final question is this. Will Jake Arrieta be ready to go? I don't think so. Could I be wrong? Yeah, there's a strong possibility I could be wrong on this one. But hey, I'm looking at it the way I'm looking at it right now. All that could change within that series. Those are our 5 questions in our Major League Baseball playoff preview, and tomorrow we'll do 5 NFL questions. And then every Friday we'll have the fans pick the 5 questions that they want me to answer. You got a question you want me to answer during our 5 question segment? Tweet the show at SIT Morning, and we'll get your question on the air. Speaking of questions, I have a question of the day, and it goes a little something like this. Who do you think is the team to beat in the baseball playoffs? Who do you think is the team to beat in the playoffs in the Major League Baseball playoffs this year? Boy, I'm going to love seeing the answers to that. I'm going to love seeing the answers to that. My closing statement after the break.
Who do I perform for? I perform for all the awesome composers whose music deserves to be heard.
I perform for all the stagehands who make sure I never miss a cue.
I perform for our high school choir director who taught me to breathe from the diaphragm and sing from the heart.
Speech, debate, theater, music. The performing arts teach valuable life lessons that typically aren't taught in the classroom. They help high school students learn leadership skills that prepare them to enjoy more satisfying, productive lives.
I perform for Mrs. Evans, my high school debate coach, who has helped me become more confident than I ever dreamed possible.
This message presented by the Illinois High School Association and the high school in your community.
Hey, I've got a question for you. Who will you perform for?
Welcome to the Butcher Box. Our beef is exactly the way that nature intended. 100% grass-fed and grass-finished, antibiotic and hormone-free, and never taken from feedlots. Just 100% healthy meat. We offer 2 to 5 day delivery to the contiguous 48 states. The meat is flash frozen at the peak of freshness, packed with dry ice, and shipped directly to your door. The beef is sourced from a collection of small grass-fed farms. It is of the utmost quality and tastes incredible. Our steak won a blind taste test cook-off with the Today Show in 2015. So for 100% grass-fed and grass-finished beef, organic chicken, and heritage-bred pork delivered for free on your schedule for less than $6 per meal, visit arenasportsnet.com and click on the Butcher Box logo, and if you do so, you will receive 10% off your first order, or give Butcher Box a call at 855-981-8568.
This is Snowman in the Morning, where true sports talk lives.
Hadouken! That's a spicy meatball!
43 after the... Hey, wait a minute. Okay. 43 after the hour. Welcome back to Snowman in the Morning as we get things back together here. And I have a closing statement, which is going to close out our show. Tomorrow, talk a little NBA, why I think the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Cleveland Cavaliers, and a couple of other teams will not miss the playoffs, why I think Lonzo Ball should not even get off the bench, and a few others in our 5 questions. Remember, if you got a question you want us to answer, tweet the show at SIT Morning or follow us on Facebook or through our social media, and when we do our lineup card, we'll post which questions will be answered. If you see yours, you got a special gift coming from the show. Now to the closing statement, and it goes a little something like this. I am sick and tired of a few certain members of what I like to call the Butthurt Brigade threatening me with a slanderous lawsuit when I did nothing wrong but speak their names on my personal platform. Well, you know something? The blog's going back up in its entirety, in the original episodes. If you don't like the fact that I said something about you, then oh thee well. The truth hurts. I'm sick and tired of men telling the truth and then all hell breaking loose. It's not fair and it's not right. A couple friends and I started the man-powerment movement, and I'll be doggone if I let a butthurt brigade, because of something that they did that affected me and people around me, run me off. I'm not having it anymore. So to certain members of the Butthurt Brigade that want to flood my voicemail, flood my text messages with stuff saying, we're going to file a lawsuit against you if you don't take your blog down. Well, you know what? Kiss my ass. It's going back up in its entirety, and the original episodes will not be edited. Period. If you don't like the fact that I said something about you, then grow a set of balls and come to me face to face, which y'all won't do because you're scared. You're all talk. Every member of what I like to call the Butthurt Brigade is all talk. No action whatsoever. You won't come to me face to face, especially a certain person that lied on me and cost me a contract. You won't come to me face to face. You don't have the ability, you don't have the nerve, you don't have the balls to come to me face to face. And I'm not backing down anymore. I've backed down long enough. I've backed down long enough. Every time I get a threat against me, every single time, I tend to think to the rebuttal. Well, not anymore. I'm no longer thinking to the rebuttal. I'm no longer thinking to what are they going to do next? Because I don't care. I don't care. If you think you are so bad and so interested in me that you want to bring a frivolous lawsuit against me with your lies, bring it on. I don't care. I really don't. You ever thought about the fact that maybe what I'm saying is a little bit of truth? And maybe the fact I've admitted to my mistakes when it comes to you guys? But y'all don't care. So since y'all don't care about my feelings, I don't care about yours. Period. I'm out of here. I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. We'll talk some NBA. We'll review Monday night. And I got a few more messages and a few more things to get off my chest. It's the fastest hour in sports radio. Snowman in the Morning, presented by Cleaver Supplements. Pure supplements for when genetics are not enough. I'm out of here. I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Have a great day. God bless. Remember to make your next move your best move. And always remember, if your dreams don't scare you, then they are not big enough. Dream big, do bigger. Snowman out.